diplomatic relations between the Palestinian people and Russia and China as a state go through the Palestinian Authority. They do not go through Hamas. They do not go through PFLP or DFLP or Islamic Jihad or any other group. They go through the Palestinian Authority.
Them vetoing this would have handed the United States and Israel a propaganda win, because they would have said, look, China and Russia want the genocide to continue. You're going to hate, the viewers are going to hate me after this. You're going to not like what I have to say, but here we go. So, UNSC Council Resolution 2803, decision as of November 18th. Resolution was adopted. The full text isn't publicly detailed in all sources. It addresses key international security issues like related to the ongoing Middle East situation. What was voted on, the 20-point Gaza peace plan, et cetera, et cetera. The most important part being the stabilization force to be ran by Azerbaijan and Indonesia, and a conditioned pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. The vote required at least 9 affirmatives out of the 15 members with no vetoes from the P5. Negotiations involved regional support. Now, let's get to it. Everybody cried and said, why did Russia and China veto it? Now, let's talk about it. Okay, so who supported it? Egypt, Qatar, UAE, Saudi, Jordan all supported it publicly. The PA also publicly endorsed it and said they actually hailed it, then called Trump's efforts sincere. That's a quote, Trump's sincere efforts to end the war, and affirmed confidence in his peace plan. And they stressed cooperation. So what does Russia do? They said, we don't like the language of this plan. We're going to submit our own plan. And so they did. Russians submitted their plan on between the 13th and the 14th of November. The differences in theirs was that it gave more control to the United Nations Security Council. So obviously Russia and China could have had a more direct role. It stressed a ceasefire and put emphasis on a 2-state solution. And the Russians said that they weren't going to veto it, but it was a negotiation tactic. And then Russia and China obviously abstained. Western leftoids and activists all went insane. I bet probably a good 70% of them didn't even watch the statements or read anything after that. They're just waiting on their favorite progressive or socialist commentator to say, why wouldn't Russia and China end the genocide? Well, let's watch the statements. Here is Russia.
This document shouldn't become a fig leaf for unbridled experiments conducted by the US in Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory. It's important for it not to turn into a death knell for the 2-state solution. Russia took note of Ramallah's position, as well as that of many other Arab and Muslim countries, which spoke in favor of the US draft so as to avoid a resumption of bloodshed in the enclave. Therefore, we decided not to introduce our own draft, the objective of which was to modify the US concept so as to bring it into line with long-standing agreed UN resolutions. But there is no cause for celebration. Today is a sorrowful day for the Security Council. Aside from what the interested parties want, there's also the notion of the integrity of the Security Council. And today, by adopting this resolution, this integrity and the prerogatives of the Security Council were undermined. In this instance, we wish we'll be proven wrong. We hope that we can count on the US demonstrating its peacekeeping potential in practice. Now, the implementation of President Trump's plan falls squarely on the shoulders of its authors and supporters. First and foremost, those of the group of Arab Islamic states. The group of 8 Arab Islamic states. Regrettably, we've already had the unfortunate experience of seeing solutions to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict pushed through by the United States, bringing about the opposite result of what was intended. Don't say we didn't warn you.
I think that was pretty effing strong. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Absolutely.
What do you guys, I'm asking the viewers, what do you want from China? I mean, from Russia, who's involved in their own war against the same exact hegemon?
On multiple fronts, I might add.
Yeah, I don't really understand what is expected of Russia. So that's Russia. And I actually am impressed with Russia's statement. I expected it to be even softer than that. I didn't expect him to come out and say, don't say we didn't warn you. That's pretty ominous and he definitely washed Russia's hands of the whole matter. He said, now this plan falls squarely on the shoulders of those supporting it, meaning we don't support it. We're not doing this. we're out. Done. Don't ask for anything else. They do not support it. So much so that they wrote their own plan that was scoffed at by the people who support Trump's plan. Why? Because they're doing business with Trump right now.
Absolutely right. They have a lot to gain from supporting Trump. And as you saw, and we'll get to, the Arab countries that are at the forefront of this. And by the way, it's not just, for example, I mean, there are some Arab countries like Algeria that openly welcome this and things like that. These are countries that are longstanding, poles in the non-aligned movement and things like that. So it had broad support from the Muslim and from the Arab world. And that shows you. But most importantly, diplomatic relations between the Palestinian people and Russia and China as a state go through the Palestinian Authority. They do not go through Hamas. They do not go through PFLP or DFLP or Islamic Jihad or any other group. They go through the Palestinian Authority. And the PLO before had some of those factions like PFLP within it. But the Palestinian Authority is the main is the main body that speaks on behalf of the Palestinian people diplomatically. And if they agree with it, what is Russia and China supposed to do? Go against the will of the Palestinian people? For them, it's an internal affair. I mean, people need to think and put on that international relations, 101 class you took in college, or I hope you took in college, because what you learn is that in international relations, the guiding principle is non-interference in the internal affairs of nation states and of peoples. Non-interference means if the will of the Palestinian Authority is yes, even if Russia and China disagree and understand it not to be in their interest, in this case, they abstained. There are moments where in history there have been situations where they've gone against or they've changed positions. But at this moment, given the tension, they decided to abstain, but to voice and to lodge their very serious disapprovals with what's going on.
So let's talk about China. China issued a lengthy statement, which I shared on my personal profile, a written statement following, but they gave 4 strong objections. 1, vague. The details were too vague. There was no clear structure or mandate. 2, Palestinian exclusion. The Chinese said it sidelined Palestinian sovereignty by not censoring Palestinian-led governance. 3, UN marginalization, because it didn't directly involve the UN or the UN Security Council. And then here is the 4th up.
Less than 2 weeks after introducing the draft resolution, the penholder rushed the Council into making a critical decision on the future and destiny of Gaza. The Council members responsibly engaged in consultations, raising a lot of constructive questions and suggestions, but most of them were not taken on board. While there remained major concerns and serious differences among members, the penholder forced the Council to take action on the draft resolution. We are deeply disappointed at such an approach, which is disrespectful to the Council members and hurts the Council's unity. President, notwithstanding the above-mentioned many issues in the draft resolution and China's major concerns about it, considering the fragile and severe situation in Gaza, the imperative of maintaining ceasefire, and the positions of the regional countries and Palestine, China abstained in the vote. It must also be noted that our concerns and worries remain. The Security Council must maintain close attention to the situation.
I'm not really understanding. And again, China wrote out a fantastic statement following and explained it even further. They didn't want to fracture their relations with the Arab states. Them vetoing this would have handed the United States and Israel a propaganda win, because they would have said, look, China and Russia want the genocide to continue. I thought you guys said that they were that part of the axis of resistance. I thought you guys said that they were part of this, that, and the other thing. Look, they want the genocide to continue. They won't let the peace plan come through.
Absolutely.
And yeah, exactly. And so I'm not really understanding. Also, people keep saying, I guess multipolarity is a sham. This literally, you need to pick up and read Konstantin van Hofmeister's book, Multipolarity, and understand multipolarity is exactly what Chris just said. It's respecting the sovereignty of the states and especially the region. Saudi is looked at as one of the poles, if not the pole, of the Sunni Middle East. If Saudi is going along with the plan, who is Russia or China to involve themselves in a regional affair now? I'm not really sure what you guys expect.
Listen, ultimately, a veto is not going to hand Palestinian self-determination to the Palestinian people. It won't. I'm sorry. This is when politics becomes almost like a reality TV show. This is exactly the problem. Instead of doing that, and instead of just doing propaganda for propaganda's sake, China and Russia did what was in the best interest of not only their states, but of the Palestinian people vis-a-vis the regional actors that are actively involved in the situation. Now, if you go back to speaking about the regional actors, you had Egypt, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Egypt is a guarantor of peace and stability in Gaza, and historically, of course, given after the various wars that transpired, and then the peace agreement between Anwar Sadat and the Israelis, and afterwards, Egypt has become a stable state that has nobody's condemning Egypt here for having a peace agreement with the Zionists, nor Jordan, nor the rest of them that have done that. Of course, Syria didn't. Lebanon, of course, no. But you see that all the other regional players are actively involved in this. And of course, at this moment, the most important thing is to have whatever remnants of the ceasefire hold, of course, which Israel's breaking every day, as we see. We see bombing, we see killing. Lebanon today was brutal over the past 24 to 48 hours. But the main thing is that China and Russia can only do so much. They are not bordering these countries, nor are they as powerful in this region as the United States, which has full backing, which fully backs the Zionist entity. What more do you want? Like, what is it going to do? And the Palestinian people's representative. Listen, my personal opinion about Mahmoud Abbas, he's a bastard, and he's done nothing for the Palestinian people. And that's a fact. Everybody will tell you. I mean, there's great talks by Ali Abu Nima and so many others of Electronic Intifada and many others who've spoken out publicly and criticized Mahmoud Abbas, not only since October 7th, even before that, because the Palestinian Authority cooperates with Israeli occupation forces, handles internal security on behalf of the Israelis in the administered territories. But the main thing is he's still the leader. So it's up to the Palestinian people how to handle their internal affairs. He said it's good to go, and they put their support behind this. The embassy here of the state of Palestine is under their control. The embassy of the state of Palestine in Beijing is under their control. They're the ones that are the diplomats there. They say yes. Russia and China, what is supposed to do? That's where I think people sometimes have a little bit too much activist brain and are thinking as if these states are acting like we do in a picket, in a march, or in a demonstration, but they don't. They are stable and responsible nation-state actors. They will function diplomatically, and they will, of course, look at all of the parameters, all of the context, and make a decision accordingly. That's the fact. And I'm sorry if people are offended by it, but that's just the case. People have been offended like this for a long time on a variety of issues. We had the Sino-Soviet split. We had China supported some of the apartheid regimes in Africa during the 70s and 80s. Let's not forget that. I don't see people always criticizing that, except a few sect-type Maoists that constantly throw that out there, or ultra-leftists. The main thing is that are there Chinese weapons that fall into the hands of some of the countries that we don't agree with? Yes. Are there Russian weapons that fall into those hands? Yes. But this is the complicated world that we live in, the multipolar world. It's uneven. It's not perfect. People have to understand that. Don't lose hope. Don't get blackpilled. We will continue the struggle. And the struggle, of course, is a long-lasting one. You might not see its results. Kids might not see its results, but we're going for the grandkids and the great-grandkids and thereon after.